What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Khamzat Chimaev has been officially recognized as Athlete of the Year, receiving the prestigious award from the Ministry of Physical Culture and Sports of the Chechen Republic. This honor highlights Chimaev's exceptional achievements, relentless work ethic, and growing influence in the world of combat sports. Over the past year, Chimaev has continued to establish himself as one of the most dominant and feared competitors in mixed martial arts. Known for his aggressive fighting style, elite wrestling, and finishing ability, he has consistently delivered high-level performances against top-tier opposition. His rise has not only captivated MMA fans worldwide, but has also brought significant attention and pride to the Chechen Republic. The Athlete of the Year award is presented to individuals who demonstrate excellence, discipline, and a strong commitment to their sport, both inside and outside of competition. Chimaev's recognition reflects more than just his success in the cage. It also acknowledges his role as a representative of athletic excellence and national pride. His dedication to training, his mental toughness, and his ability to perform under pressure have made him a role model for aspiring athletes. Throughout his career, Chimaev has repeatedly shown an ability to overcome challenges and silence critics, whether competing across weight classes or taking on dangerous opponents with little hesitation. He has built a reputation as a fearless and determined competitor. These qualities have helped him become one of the most talked about figures in modern MMA. Receiving this award from the Ministry of Physical Culture and Sports further cements Chimaev's status as a standout athlete of his generation. As he continues his journey at the highest level of the sport, expectations remain sky high. With major fights still ahead and championship ambitions firmly in sight, this recognition serves as yet another milestone in what is shaping up to be an extraordinary career for Khamzat Chimaev. But before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Moving on to another news. Israel Adesanya recently shared his excitement after watching Anderson Silva score a TKO victory over Tyron Woodley, a moment that quickly reignited discussion across the MMA community. Adesanya, a longtime admirer of Silva, made it clear that seeing the Spider deliver another highlight was something special, especially given the history between all parties involved. Several years ago, Adesanya and Woodley had a brief but notable exchange following Woodley's loss of the welterweight title to Kamaru Usman. At the time, Woodley publicly called out Adesanya, but Izzy dismissed the idea and fired back with sharp words, creating tension between the two. Despite that past beef, Adesanya says he has moved on and no longer harbors any negativity toward Woodley, emphasizing that those moments are in the past. Going into the Silva versus Woodley matchup, Adesanya confidently predicted a knockout in Silva's favor. As the fight unfolded, he reacted in real time, praising Silva's movement, timing, and veteran instincts. Adesanya pointed out Silva's ability to read openings, fake attacks, capitalize on mistake skills that defined Silva's legendary career. When the finish finally came, Adesanya's reaction summed it up perfectly. Anderson Silva is still Anderson Silva. Although there were lighthearted jokes and animated reactions during the viewing, Adesanya ultimately took a respectful tone. He acknowledged that Woodley is still doing well for himself and stressed that there's no reason to dwell on old rivalries. For Adesanya, the moment was less about personal history and more about appreciating greatness. Seeing Silva secure a TKO served as a reminder of his enduring class and fight IQ. For Adesanya, it reinforced why Silva remains one of the most influential figures in combat sports history. The moment was nostalgic, entertaining, and a clear example of why legends continue to command respect long after their prime. Moving on to another news. Robert Whittaker recently shared his reaction to Anderson Silva's impressive TKO victory over Tyron Woodley, and like many fans and fighters, he was genuinely stunned by what he witnessed. Speaking candidly, Whittaker emphasized just how remarkable the performance was, especially considering Silva's age and the stage of his career. Whittaker pointed out that Anderson Silva is now 50 years old, a milestone that makes the victory even more extraordinary. He described Silva as one of the greatest fighters of all time and said the fight was clear proof that the Brazilian legend still possesses elite elite-level skill. According to Whitaker, knocking out a former UFC champion in the second round at that age is wild and almost unheard of in modern combat sports. He went on to explain that the difference between aging from 40 to 50 is far more significant than from 20 to 30. Every year in that later stage of an athlete's life has a much greater impact on speed, durability, and reaction time. That context, Whitaker said, makes Silva's performance even more impressive and deserving of respect. Whitaker also offered a technical breakdown of the matchup. He noted that Tyron Woodley was never primarily known as a highly technical striker. Instead, Woodley relied on explosive power, athleticism, and his ability to land fight-ending shots, particularly when wearing small gloves. Over the years, however, Whitaker believes Woodley has struggled when opponents presented unfamiliar looks or outstruck him, often leaving him frozen and without clear answers in exchanges. According to Whitaker, it doesn't appear that Woodley significantly evolved his skill set over time, instead leaning on peak physical attributes and exceptional genetics to carry him through fights. In contrast, Silva's performance suggested constant refinement. Whitaker observed that Silva has clearly been working on his hands and sharpening his technique, allowing him to outclass a powerful opponent despite the age gap. For Whitaker, the fight was a powerful reminder of the value of skill, experience, and continued improvement qualities that have defined Anderson Silva's legendary career. Moving on to another news. Arman Tsarukyan has fired back forcefully at Ilia Topuria following a heated rant delivered by Topuria during a recent Spanish interview, escalating tensions between the two lightweight contenders. In his comments, Topuria claimed he was not afraid of Tsarukyan, labeled him a disappointment to the UFC, and argued that Tsarukyan did not deserve further opportunities after withdrawing from a scheduled title fight. Tsarukyan did not stay silent. Taking to social media, he responded with sharp criticism, calling out what he viewed as hypocrisy. He pointed out that while Topuria has spoken publicly about taking time away from competition to address personal and family matters, he has remained extremely active in the media. Tsarukyan mocked the situation, suggesting that if Topuria truly needed time off, he wouldn't have so much energy for constant interviews, and dismissed him as unserious. Beyond the verbal exchange, the situation could have real implications for the lightweight title picture. If Topuria is unable to resolve his issues and return by spring, there is growing speculation that the UFC could consider stripping or forcing him to vacate the belt. The current expectation is that Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje may compete for an interim title early next year, which would potentially place Tsarukyan in line to face the winner for the undisputed championship rather than waiting on the sidelines. In his rant, Topuria defended his stance by criticizing Tsarukyan's past decisions. He argued that Tsarukyan had already been given a championship opportunity and chose to pull out, despite fighters often competing through injuries. Speaking from what he described as a promoter's perspective, Topuria questioned Tsarukyan's reliability, claiming that such decisions make it difficult for the UFC to fully trust and invest in him. He also referenced a past face-off incident, suggesting it showed poor judgment and a lack of appreciation for the promotion support. While nothing has been made official, the ongoing feud continues to draw attention. If delays persist, it is widely expected that the UFC will step in to bring clarity to the division and protect the momentum of the title picture. Moving on to another news. Speculation is growing that a highly anticipated rematch between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev may not be happening anytime soon. In recent weeks, there has been increasing discussion about Pereira potentially moving up to heavyweight, fueled largely by his own public calls for a blockbuster fight against Jon Jones. Now, comments from Ankalaev's camp appear to support the idea that a third fight between the two light heavyweights is not next on the agenda. Pereira reclaimed the UFC light heavyweight title in October, avenging his earlier loss to Ankalaev from March with a decisive and emphatic finish. With both fighters now holding one victory over the other, fans naturally began calling for a trilogy bout to settle the rivalry. However, Ankalaev's manager, Rizvan Magomedov, recently suggested that Pereira is not eager to pursue a third meeting right away. According to Magomedov, while the series series is tied 1-1. The focus is now on Ankalaev securing another strong win before pushing again for a title shot. He indicated that Ankalaev is expected to face a top contender next, with Jiří Procházka emerging as a possible opponent. A win over someone of Procházka's caliber, Magomed believes, would serve as the ideal stepping stone toward another championship opportunity. These comments align with Pereira's apparent ambitions beyond the light heavyweight division. His interest in testing himself at heavyweight, particularly against Jon Jones, suggests his priorities may lie elsewhere. Additionally, the UFC reportedly has several options at 205 pounds, including a potential matchup between Pereira and rising contender Carlos Ulberg, who is riding a 9-fight win streak and coming off a brutal knockout of Dominic Reyes. There is also the possibility of Procházka being booked in a high-stakes bout, possibly even an interim title fight if the division stalls. Meanwhile, Pereira's presence continues to loom over the heavyweight conversation. When asked hypothetically about facing Pereira and other top heavyweights, heavyweight contender Walter Walker jokingly admitted that Pereira would likely knock him out quickly, reinforcing Pereira's growing aura across division. For now, a Pereira versus Ankalaev rematch appears unlikely, with both fighters seemingly headed down different paths, at least for the moment. Moving on to another news, Andrei Arlovski has released a public statement addressing the backstage altercation that made headlines over the weekend, offering his version of events following a viral incident involving YouTuber Jack Doherty and members of his entourage. The confrontation reportedly took place backstage at the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul event in Miami and quickly spread across social media after footage showed Arlovski exchanging blows with several individuals, including a bodyguard. The 46-year-old former UFC heavyweight champion took to Instagram to clarify his position, firmly denying that he attacked anyone without cause. Arlovski stated that he was responding to what he perceived as a direct threat toward himself, his wife, his child, and a close friend who was present at the time. According to Arlovski, his actions were purely defensive. He emphasized that he did not beat up anyone, but instead acted to neutralize a dangerous situation, calling it his responsibility to protect his family. Arlovski also suggested that the individuals involved were seeking attention and online content, implying that the situation may have been intentionally provoked for social media exposure. He sarcastically referred to himself as an easy target, questioning whether his age or the presence of multiple people, including a large bodyguard, contributed to the confrontation. In a follow-up video, Arlovski stated that he would be open to facing the bodyguard in a controlled setting, particularly referencing alleged cheap shots he received during the incident. More seriously, Arlovski expressed concern about the broader implications of such behavior. He warned that similar confrontations could have far worse consequences if directed at someone without combat training, potentially leading to serious injury or death. He made it clear that such actions have no place at sporting events. Arlovski also took a jab at Doherty, accusing him of hiding behind his security during the altercation. Doherty, for his part, denied instigating the incident, claiming he did nothing to provoke Arlovski. MMA coach Din Thomas later weighed in, suggesting those involved were fortunate the situation did not escalate further. As the story continues to unfold, questions remain about accountability and whether incidents like this will discourage or encourage influencer-driven provocations at combat sports events. Moving on to another news. Joaquin Buckley has responded publicly to recent comments made by Shavkat Rakhmonov addressing a tense exchange that unfolded on social media and has since drawn attention across the MMA community. The situation stems from a back and forth on Instagram, where Rakhmonov used language Buckley found disrespectful, escalating what was already a competitive rivalry into something more personal. Buckley spoke about the incident during an interview with Perry Punch News, and it was clear he was unhappy with the way Rakhmonov chose his words. Rather than focusing solely on the competitive aspect of their rivalry, Buckley emphasized that the issue was about respect. He explained that being referred to as a boy crossed a line, as he considers it dismissive and demeaning, especially given that he is a grown man and an established professional fighter. Buckley pointed out that if Rakhmonov wanted to talk trash, there were plenty of other ways to do it without resorting to language that carries historical and cultural weight. He noted that even framing the insult differently, such as acknowledging him as a man, would have at least shown a basic level of respect while still maintaining competitive of hostility. To Buckley, the choice of words felt intentional and designed to provoke. He also addressed the irony of being called a kid, highlighting that both he and Rachmanov are the same age, having been born in 1994. From Buckley's perspective, this further reinforced the idea that the comment were not playful banter but a deliberate attempt to belittle him. Despite his frustration, Buckley made it clear that he is not afraid of disrespect or trash talk. However, he stressed that words have consequences, especially when fighters are trying to build a narrative toward a potential matchup. Buckley suggested that if this rivalry continues to escalate, the best way to settle it would be inside the cage, where respect is ultimately earned through performance, not social media comments.